All right, let's get right into it. We're going to trace the absolutely grueling and secretive path of a Delta Force operator. We're talking about the entire journey, from being an already elite soldier to becoming a hardened veteran in America's most shadowy unit. So imagine this. This is one of the very first things a potential candidate is told. You will join a unit that does not officially exist. I mean, talk about setting the stage. Right from the get-go, you know you're signing up for a life lived completely in the shadows, a career where everything you do is officially denied. Okay, so how does a journey like this even start? Well, before you can even think about being considered, you've got to build a military resume that most soldiers would be thrilled to retire with. And get this, that's just the starting line. That's not the end goal. And just look at who can even apply. This is what's so wild. We're not talking about some kid fresh out of boot camp. No way. You've got to be a proven Green Beret or an Army Ranger, usually a sergeant or staff sergeant with, 4 to 6 years of really tough service already under your belt, plus multiple combat deployments. To put it another way, the minimum requirement to even get your foot in the door is what most people would consider the absolute pinnacle of a military career. So how do they even recruit you? The whole thing is shrouded in mystery. It doesn't start with some big formal invitation. It starts with a whisper. A simple notice just appears on a bulletin board. There's no unit name, no fancy patch, just a time and a building number. That's it. If you actually show up for that briefing, this is where you end up. Selection. And this is a 4-week trial by fire out in the Appalachian Mountains. It's designed to do more than just test your physical limits. It's engineered to completely break your mind. And the numbers here, they're just insane. We're talking about a 90% attrition rate. Let that sink in for a second. You could have a class of, say, 120 of the most elite soldiers the Army has to offer. And by the end of it all, maybe only 12 of them will still be standing. This right here shows you exactly what makes this selection process so different. In most military training, you've got instructors in your face, yelling, motivating you, correcting your mistakes. But here, nothing. The cadre is just silent. They're just watching. And that complete indifference, it forces you to dig deep and find every single shred of motivation from inside yourself. There's no one there to pump you up. Yeah, that's the whole point. The silence is the selection. The real test isn't the physical part, it's the psychological pressure. The silence just strips away any kind of external pat on the back. It's designed to find out who you really are. What's left when there's absolutely nothing and no one there to prop you up? Okay, so for that tiny fraction of people who actually pass selection, what's next? Well, it's a 6-month operator training course, or OTC, and it's brutal. This is where they basically take a soldier, tear them down to their component parts, and rebuild them into something else entirely. And just look at this timeline. It shows you the insane range of skills they have to master. I mean, it starts with advanced marksmanship and close quarters battle. Then you're learning explosive breaching, then tradecraft and surveillance like a spy. And it even gets into advanced driving and surgical level trauma medicine. You're not just a soldier anymore. You're being forged into this multi-skilled weapon. So after all that, after 6 months of being completely rebuilt, what's graduation like? There isn't one. No ceremony, no family, no applause. They just hand you a pager and tell you you're assigned to an assault squadron. That's it. You're an operator. And guess what? The real work is just getting started. So what is life actually like inside the unit? Well, it's this relentless cycle of training and deploying over and over. But your job changes a lot over the years. You'll go from being the new guy, the rookie, to a seasoned veteran leading the team. As a brand new operator, your whole world revolves around missions like this. Missions carried out with just unbelievable speed and violence. A Black Hawk drops you on a roof at midnight. A breach charge goes off that sounds like God snapping his fingers, and the whole building is cleared in 90 seconds. You grab the target, and then you just vanish. Nobody ever knows you were there. Your job really is to be a ghost. But then, after years of this, after hundreds of raids, you might move from an assault troop to a reconnaissance troop. And the job completely flips on its head. You go from the intense, split-second violence of kicking in doors to the excruciating discipline of long-term surveillance, just watching and waiting for days, sometimes even weeks. And eventually, as you move up and become a team leader, you're not just the one kicking the door anymore. You're the one making the calls. And you're carrying this unbelievable weight, the weight of life and death decisions that have to be made in a literal split second. And you are the only one who has to live with the consequences of that call. This quote, The lawyers weren't in the hallway. I mean, it just says everything, doesn't it? That split-second decision you made will get picked apart for months by people in an office. But they weren't there. They weren't in that hallway, under that insane pressure. All of this, of course, leads us to the inevitable question. What is the cost? Because after a career with, maybe more than 300 combat operations, the physical and psychological toll, well, it's just undeniable. It's massive. I mean, an operator's body literally becomes a record of the damage. Blown eardrums from all the breaching charges, a knee rebuilt with titanium, compressed vertebrae from parachute jumps. But the physical stuff, that's only part of it. There's also the invisible weight of the friends you've lost, remembered on a memorial wall that the public will never see. And all of it for a service record that basically says you were never even there. So just try to put yourself in this headspace for a moment. Last week, you were clearing a compound, and a man was actively trying to kill you. The reality of combat is just, it's immediate, it's raw, it's absolute. And now you're back home, standing in a grocery store line, and the guy in front of you is having a full-blown argument over an expired coupon? The disconnect is just impossible. How do you even begin to reconcile those two completely separate realities? They just can't exist in the same mind at the same time. And so, while one operator's incredible journey is ending, maybe as they retire, the whole cycle is already starting over for someone new. The next generation is already answering that same silent call. You can just picture it, right? Somewhere, right now, there's a 26-year-old Ranger reading that exact same kind of notice. He's one of the best in the world at what he does, but he's driven by that one simple, powerful question: am I good enough? But what he doesn't know, what he can't know, is the real cost of finding out the answer to that question. He doesn't see the rebuilt knees, the marriages that fall apart, the quiet, heavy weight of carrying 300 raids with you. He doesn't know any of that. He just knows the date and the time he needs to show up. And he will. And that really leaves us with this one final, heavy question. The unit will absolutely answer if you're good enough. It provides the ultimate proof for an elite soldier. But what is the true cost of getting that answer? Because it's a price that's paid in silence for the rest of your life.